Hi, Alan and Sue. I made this video just basically because we're not able to meet tomorrow morning. So you open GarageBand. When you do open GarageBand, you'll probably find that, there you go, that this screen, this is what you're confronted with. If you press this plus at the top, that one, you'll be confronted with this series of little windows, if you like. Lots of choices of things to choose. First thing I'll open for you is the keyboard window here. You can press Alchemy Synth, which I'll do now. And then you're confronted with this. This is the default setting. Before I go any further, the one thing I will explain, you'll notice that there are names of notes on the keys. This is a setting you can add, particularly, I think with the pre-prep and prep, it's useful to have those. And a way of making sure it's there for all of them is to go to settings and then scroll down the left-hand side here. And then eventually you'll see GarageBand. And when you see GarageBand, if you then scroll on the right-hand side, you'll notice that there's a little section there where it says keyboard note labels. If you make sure that's switched on, that will then display the notes for the keyboard notes. And then if you go back to GarageBand, there you go. It means then that if you're wanting them to find C, they can find it. And of course, you're making the process a bit easier. To change sound, I've just clicked on Epic Cloud Formation at the top there. You've got lots of different synthesizer sounds, loads and loads of them. And to choose them, you essentially click on the sound, and then after that, you obviously press done, and that means you've selected a particular sound. Lots of different sounds there. Okay. To go to keyboard sounds, the more traditional, the pianos and the organs, you just go left to keyboards, main categories there, and you can choose pianos and one thing and another. You can press sustain, switch to the right to give a more sustained sound. You can change by pressing +1, -1, the different octaves to play in as well. So you've got all of those different features, which is incredibly useful. You can change the scale. If you press scale, it means you can set a specific scale. For example, there you've got major pentatonic scale being played. If you want a scale to stay obviously within an instrument, that's absolutely fine. You can still have the scale there, but you can change to a different instrument there. You've got electric piano, for example. A series of different scales. There's obviously the klezmer scale there, the Jewish sounding scale. And obviously you change key, which I'll show you just now. You go to the top here and just press key signature. You can select whichever key you wish, so they can actually play in, for example, G major pentatonic, which is incredibly useful for any class improvisation or composition tasks, or just playing tasks that you may have with a particular piece. So incredibly useful. Also, you can press the chord button here, and this allows you then to play. You can hear the chords being played there, G major, C major. The great thing about this is it means that pupils have access. There's an autoplay function as well. Turn that and you just press the button and they have a rhythmic feel to whichever chord they've pressed, and that changes per instrument as well. But the great thing about this is they get the sound of the chord straight away, so they're not having to worry about having to play a B flat major. It's more of an instant success. When you record, press the plus at the top here, press automatic, and that means that when they're recording, then it just keeps going. It doesn't run out at 8 bars. Press record is very, very easy. Press record, you get a count in, and then off you go. And obviously you can then play just using this. This is incredibly useful. I'm using this a lot with the senior school, and I've started using it with year 3 and 4 as well, and it's making a huge difference just to their access to sound, and they're starting to get quite excited by ideas, which is really, really fantastic. Okay, next thing, if you want to change to different instruments, you can add instruments. So for example, you've got drums here. Obviously pupils, all that I've taught so far, love the drums. You've got different types of kit, and there you go, you just click in the middle here. You've got electronic drum kits, various different ones. Again, they have lots of fun with this. And percussion, for example, this is a pretty good sounding Chinese kit. And the great thing about this is, of course, then you can just record over what you've just played. So they're learning these overdubbing techniques, which of course ties into orchestration, arrangements, and so on. And the great thing about this is the sound quality is absolutely fantastic, particularly if they're wearing headphones. So as you go along, you can see that everything's synchronized. And then when you press stop and you do press play, obviously the whole thing will be there then. Strings. With the strings, you can actually select a particular instrument, for example, their viola. If you start to tap on the string, the notes will be played. Same with the violin. And it's the same for the other instruments as well, for the cello and the bass. You can change the scale in the same way. So just have a straight major scale, which is incredibly useful. Pentatonic. I think this is a route in, particularly, pardon me, for those instruments. For example, for me with year 3, with the violins, this has made it a bit more accessible because we're not having to worry about all of the processes you need to go through just to simply get a note out. Of course, you've got the chord strings as well, so to get used to the sound of string instruments playing together and forming an actual voiced chord. Bass guitar, you've got various different types of bass. Those people who do play electric instruments or even just the guitar, this is incredibly useful for them. You've got the frets in front of them. It's a good way of introducing other students to it as well. The same with the guitar. Not only do you have a traditional fretboard, which you can play, it's essentially the guitar upside down. Again, with the same thing, you can change the scale. You can bend the strings, which is really, really impressive. But also you've got chords as well, so you can strum different chords. I've used this a lot, particularly at the prep, and they found this really enjoyable. So essentially, that's a starter. That's a good way to get going.